Hi guys, so this is my most disappointing books that I've read in 2018. Now a lot of these, well, most of these weren't actually published in 2018, but the ones that I personally read in 2018. So these are ones that, some of them are ones that I didn't, not all of them I disliked, but I was disappointed in them. I thought they were going to be about like 5-star reads, really good reads. In no particular order that I'm going to go through with you and let you know just a little bit about them, why I didn't like them. But yeah, there's nothing, if you like these books then great, I'm really pleased that you like these books, but these were just some of the books that, you know, weren't what I expected. So let you know that I don't actually own any of these books, because if I didn't like them I'm not going to keep them. So they have been unhauled or they were NetGalley. So what I'll do is I will put a picture by the side of me to let you know, show you the cover. But here goes. So the first one I read of the year, which was disappointing, was Here We Are Now by Jasmine Walker. This was published in 2017. It's got a 3.52 average. And this is the first time I've read a Jasmine Walker book, and as I say, it was disappointing because she's had some really good other books prior, and that you know, been quite hyped up. But this one, it was just really boring. It's about this girl who finds out that her dad is this rock star, and she's about 15, 16, and she finds out her dad's this rock star, and they meet, and it's all about how him and his mum and the relationship, you know, went down, and why she's protecting the daughter and why she's not told him. So it was really boring. I didn't really like, I mean, the writing was okay. The mum's reasoning behind not telling her daughter was a bit, I don't know, just a bit mediocre. I didn't think it was anything special. And there's not really much I can say on it, and it was really disappointing. So the next book that I read was The Thing Explainer by Russell Munro. Now this is a non-fiction book explaining how things work, really. It was published in 2015. It's got a really good average of 4.15 on Goodreads, but it was just so simplistic that I was getting confused by it, even things that I previously had known. So there's one about the cell, which has got the nucleus and the mitochondria and you know, the cell wall, stuff like that, but he's putting it so simplified that I was actually getting confused on something that I actually knew. And he was trying to be funny with comedy in there, and it just felt a little bit forced. So I really didn't enjoy that, and I was really let down, but thankfully I actually just got this out from the library. So yeah, I think I gave that like 1 star. I think it's a bit of a hit and miss, though I think it's just me that didn't really like this book. The next book is The Light That Gets Lost by Natasha Carthu. This was published in 2015 and has an average of 2.58. So I knew the average on this, and I don't know, I mean, it's probably one of the worst books that I have read this year. I believe I gave it a 1 star. It basically follows this boy who he witnessed his parents' murder when he was about 4 or 5, and then ever since then he wanted to get revenge on whoever killed his parents, and he goes into this sort of school, sort of camp for, you know, wayward children, and it's a bit cultish and they can't get out. It's so strange. This book is very, very strange and weird, and the characters were just bland, the plot was bland. I just really didn't like it, and I nearly did DNF it because it wasn't my cup of tea. But it was a book that I had done for Beat the Backlist, so it was one of the ones that I needed to get off of the list, and pleased I read it, but it's so strange. The next book was my most anticipated book of 2018, and that was Bring Me Back by B.A. Paris. Now, I read the breakdown in 2017, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of my best books of 2017. I've recently read Behind Closed Doors, loved it. So I was really looking forward to this one. But unfortunately, I mean, I didn't hate it. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't hate it, but the plot was just, it was just way out there. It was like, how could someone, I don't want to spoil it, but it wasn't believable. And it basically follows this man and his girlfriend, and they go away skiing in France, and he stops on the way home. He stops off at a service station, goes to the toilet, and when he comes back, his girlfriend's gone, although her passport, her keys, purse and everything's still there. Then it moves on to 10 years later, where he has been trying to find her, going through sort of the police and everything, and she still hasn't come up, and he's sort of started moving on, and he goes with he finds his girlfriend's sister, and they start a relationship, and then things ensue, and then all of a sudden things start popping up that his ex/dead girlfriend is sort of still around. Things like these little dolls keep appearing, and then it goes on from there. But as I said, it's quite far-fetched. It's very fast-paced, which is good. The writing's very good. It keeps you gripped, but it's too far-fetched. And I believe obviously that she's had some criticism over it and has done an alternative ending. But I didn't really want to read it, as I just wasn't interested. I will continue to read B.A. Paris's work, but this one, it was not my favourite. The next one I read, and also the B.A. Paris had a 3.50 average on Goodreads, and that was actually published in 2018. So I then read World War Z by Max Brooks. This has a 4.1 average. It was published in 2006, and I read this because I asked my partner to pick a book off my shelf and that he wanted me to read, and I'd read it. And he picked this book, and I'm glad he picked it, because I probably would never have got around to picking it off my shelf. So I picked it up, I read it, and I didn't like it. This is another one where I gave 1 star. I think this is a hit and miss with people. I really wanted more of a civilian point of view, but it's more of sort of Navy, government sort of points of view on a zombie apocalypse, and it happens, and it goes from accounts of all over the world of what's happening, and some of the bits were good. I mean, some were coming from doctors, but most of it was sort of political and government, and I really, at some points in this, I really didn't want to finish it. I was thinking, oh, but I did. I finished it and I got rid of it. So I think it depends if you sort of like sort of government and political sort of books, and you like zombies, then it might be your cup of tea. But if you're not into that sort of stuff, I'd steer clear if I was you. The next is a non-fiction memoir. It's called Not That Kind of Girl by Lena Dunham. This was published in 2014, and it's got 3.31 average. So I've seen this floating around, and I thought I'll just pick it up. I don't really know who Lena Dunham is, so I just picked it up. I thought, oh, you know, it might be quite good, but it's really just about this woman and her sort of sexual experiences, her life, and how the way she is, and I just found it really boring. So yeah, and I mean, I think I gave that a 2.5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads. As I said, I just found it boring. There wasn't even really any funny bits. But yeah, so that's that one. Again, unhauled, but I only got it from a charity shop, so I gave it back to the charity shop. The next book on my list is one that's probably a bit of a controversial opinion. I know a lot of people love this book and some people don't. And that is Milk and Honey by Ruby Kaur. This is a poetry collection all about violence, abuse, love, and it's got a 4.14 rating on Goodreads, and it was published in 2014, so loads of people have read this and loads of people love it, but there are some people that don't actually love it, and I just found it unsettling. I just didn't think it was necessary for such brutality in the book. I just didn't like it, and the poems were just like sentences, and it didn't feel like poetry. I mean, I'm not a big poetry person, so maybe that's the reason why I didn't particularly gel with it. But yeah, so I mean, it was alright. I don't think I'd be continuing to read any of her other books. You never know. Sometimes if I see it, I might pick it up. But other than that, yeah, it wasn't really that fond. The next one was another Beat the Backlist challenge book, and this was called The Unfortunate Decisions of Dahlia Moss, and this was published in 2015, and it's got a 3.63 average, which I'm quite surprised about actually, and I think it's by Max Wirestone, and it's actually part of a series, so this is the first one in the series, and it's all about this girl that's a detective but in a gaming world. So it's all about gaming, and it's a bit like they all meet up as in a gaming sort of, I don't know, clan, and then she gets hired by this guy to find out who's stolen his sort of shield from, you know, his virtual reality gaming site, and then he also is found dead, and it's her that has to investigate this, and I just thought it was really boring. There was real forced humour. The writing was okay. I thought he was trying too hard, and I just wasn't that interested in the gaming world. It just seemed a bit boring to me, so I won't be continuing on with this. And this was actually my first NetGalley book that I was actually approved. When I started NetGalley, I sort of clicked because I didn't think I was going to get approved for anything, so I just clicked on loads of books. I wouldn't recommend it, and yeah, and this is one of them. So I'm trying to get my pile of NetGalley books down, and this was one of them. I think I only gave this a 1 star. Again, it was nearly a DNF, so I just did not like it. Number 9 on my list is another book. Now this I think is just a personal preference here, because of when I'm looking on Goodreads, it seems that everybody else loves this book apart from me, and it's Her Body and Other Parties by Carmina Maria Mercado, and it's got 3.92 average, and it was actually published in 2017, so not too long ago, and it's a short story collection, and it's very strange. It's very sort of magical realism, and I can't remember any of the stories, which is really bad. I can't remember any of the stories, but as soon as I read it, I knew I just didn't like it, so I gave it to my local library to unhaul. The writing, it wasn't confused. It was confusing, but the writing was okay. It was just something I didn't like. I don't know. I mean, everyone else seems to love it. I think it's just me. I just couldn't get my head round what she was really trying to say. And the last book is a young adult book, and it's another Beat the Backlist, and it's Passenger by Alexander Bracken, and This has a 3.81 average. It was published in 2016, and it's all about time travel and pirates. So this girl, she's really into playing the violin, I believe, and she goes to do this concert, and then something happens, and she gets sort of sucked into this time warp thing, and she goes back into like the 1700s, 1800s, and she's on a pirate ship, and she's being taken to this family man who makes her find something, and she realises that her mum actually can time travel, and now she can time travel, and she needs to save her family, and he can't, and to do this she must find this sort of orb or sphere or something that stops this man from destroying the family or time travel. Honestly, I didn't know what the hell was going on. It was so confusing. I liked the writing style. I didn't think there was very much chemistry between the two main characters. It was a bit not very good. Though it did leave on a bit of a cliffhanger and wanted me to I actually wanted to read the second one, because I want to know what's happened. But yeah, it doesn't really explain how the time travel works, and it was, I don't know, it was just very complicated in what she was trying to do. I just think she was going to too many places. It was all going back and forth, so you sort of really had to remember what had happened and where she'd been, and it was so confusing. Anyway, so I think I gave that a 2-star. But yeah, so that is my 2008 most disappointing reads. Let me know if you read any of these and your thoughts. Again, if you did think, if these were any of your favourite books, I'm sorry, this is just a personal opinion, it's not an attack on you. But yeah, so thank you,